So, I'm Ben. There was a lot that happened in Next and I/O about the cloud space. I'm picking three things that my customers are actually caring about. So, a little bit about me. I've been doing this for a while. I'm data, AI, business intelligence, and analytics. That's kind of where I sit. And I'm fluent in data. That's kind of my thing. Agent space, AI applications, and agent engine are the three things that I'm going to touch on today. So Google has made massive investments in the agent A2A protocol, basically, and the ADK. And what they've done is they've created a production-ready wrapper in a tool called Agent Space. Think of it like Google Search for your internal documentation with LLMs laid on top. So by default, connect Confluence, connect SharePoint, whatever, we're ready to go. AI applications gives us more functionality inside of our organization, so deploying things like chatbots, more custom bespoke search tools, stuff like that. And then we've got Agent Engine, which allows us to take the ADK, or LangGraph or anything like that, and then host them in production-ready, basically containers. It's cloud run behind the scenes with a nice, neat little wrapper. So, being a data guy, if you guys don't know, BigQuery has the release notes in SQL. You should use it. Google's investment is wild. So the top 10, Gemini, basically generative AI and Vertex makes the top 10 for the last 6 months. So it just shows where the money's going, where the time's going. And then in terms of what that breakdown looks like, 26 features in the last 6 months. So it's just a massive amount of additional capability for us as builders, and then also things that we can share internally and with our teams. The Vertex AI stack's really interesting because it's a one-stop shop basically for everything you need. I'm kind of talking about the top half of it today, which is the agent space wrapper and a little bit into agent builder, and I'll show you some demos of what we're doing for our customers. But basically you can do everything from fine-tuning, evaluation, optimization, and the works. So, why agent space is cool is because it's, like I said, a wrapper, right? So we've got agents coming in, we've got data sources from any of your existing platforms, and the user's request at time. So instead of you having to build your own agents, you can just provide all this content to this production-ready service, and it beats the crap out of SharePoint search. So if you guys have struggled with that. Agent Engine, which is that nice little deployment service we've got, is like 5 lines of Python code to ship an agent. And I'll show you that as well today. So very, very simple. But they can glue together. So Agent Space can immediately call on anything you've deployed in Agent Engine natively. Very soon, we'll be able to deploy to any Cloud Run native agents as well, meaning we get more extensibility, so we can ship as many of our custom agents as we want into these powerful tools. And I'm going to show you some cool stuff. Basically is the next part. So, ship this over here. This is what Agent Space looks like. It's awesome. I made a fake company. It's called Connectify. It is a ISP call center. Help me with a challenging, oops, if I can spell, customer. So, the cool part about Agent Space is it immediately grounds in all your data. And I hope my internet's going to work today. So what it's going to do is obviously summarize using Gemini, but then it's going to index into all of the relevant places and sources that are available from that request. Why is it not showing me? And I can immediately click and navigate over to that content. This is really hard with a duplicate screen. To see the fake content I've generated in Confluence, Google Drive, Google Docs, whatever. But that's just the one feature, right? You can also build custom agents. So I debug all of my agents by making them talk like pirates, because it's the fastest way that I can figure out where it's mated in the loop with the simplest amount of code. So with Agent Space, all your users can actually just build their own custom agents. And obviously, it's working, right? So good old Pirate Pete, he loves his bird. And that allows me to literally, it's as simple as giving it a name, giving it a goal, and then defining some instructions, generally in like a YAML type list. So dash thing, and that's how Pirate Pete was born. But we've talked about agent space a little bit. Let's jump over to the actual agent space config, right? So for the assistants, we can actually define additional custom agents that I'll show you in a minute that come from Agent Engine or Dialogflow CX, which you may have heard of or may not. I'll show you that as well. Agent space allows you to actually perform actions. So that's another cool thing about agent space is it's an action platform without having to build that into custom agents. So you can actually connect in things like Jira, Workday, Outlook, ServiceNow. This changes about every 3 days right now, so I've got to keep on top of things. So it allows your users to, for example, have a conversation with a document, summarize things, and go, oh, I need to make a task. Hey, agent space, please make me a Jira to follow this up in 3 days. Form comes up, you can then fill that content out. I didn't get permission to build a fake Jira for this demo, so the create button exists. But behind the scenes, these are all the native data sources that you can plug into agent space. So basically, you can connect it to all of the native workflow tools that you use every day, and then some of the big major players externally as well. So as a plug and play, get off the ground type solution, we're releasing working proof of concepts in days, not weeks. And then we're able to validate actual workflows in weeks, not months, right? So it's a significant accelerator, which our customers are loving. The other thing that we can do, like I said before, we've got Dialog CX or Dialogflow CX. It's been kind of rebranded as conversational agents now. They're kind of changing things on me. But much like you saw in the agent space engine, we can do the same level of definitions, but now you have the ability to define tool calls for specific workflows. So I was fortunate enough to go to Next this year, and I then immediately crawled all of the recordings, summarized them, transcribed them, and dumped them into a chatbot for my team to look at. And this agent allows me to communicate with those. It's just text files in a bucket. Like the amount of power we have with these tools right now allows us to prototype things in, like I said, minutes, not days, not weeks. And with the amount of investment in ADK and the parallelization, sequential agents, that kind of thing, we can chain a lot of these specialized tooling or specialized agent calls together to build bespoke custom workflows that allow us to solve those key challenges for our customers. Which brings me to Agent Engine. So Agent Engine is that deployment tool, right? And what you're looking at here is something called LLM Auditor. So if I bring over a horrible VS Code window, this is a extracted sample directly from the ADK samples repo, which I'll link you guys. It is 4 Python files. Do you want to know how easy it is to make an agent these days? That's it. That's it, literally, right? And with this tool, locally, we can type ADK run. It will then generate a web UI and you can communicate with your agent, with your tools on your machine right then, right? But now, your team wants it because you show the guy next to you, he's like, why do I have that? Don't show people is the lesson. But if you need to deploy it, Google has got you covered there too. About 10 lines of code. Right. So we declare our requirements. The package, which is the folder that the agent that you just saw lives in, basically, and a little wrapper, this engine create. That allows you to immediately surface it in Agent Engine, which then means you can immediately have a HTTP URL that you can hit via API or in other tools like Agent Space. It is to A native export, so anything that supports the agent-to-agent protocol can consume these endpoints immediately. So this agent here, just to give you some more context, is a sequential agent, meaning what happens is you communicate initially and then passes on to the second one in the chain, third one in the chain, and then back to the original. Those sub-agents have callbacks. So what that means is after the model's had its response, the ADK has you covered for removing all the stuff you don't care about to come back into the next agent or back to the user. So you can write, again, 10 lines of Python code and say, hey, just make sure you call that function after you're done. And then what happens is this then passes it to the next one in the chain, which is obviously the revisor, which then has another callback, which then changes back to the primary. So what this looks like in practice, if I can now find my lovely window, not that one, that one. I'll go back to Agent Space because it's the fastest way that I can show you this. Is I've got the LLM auditor, which we've deployed using that 10 lines of Python code. And then Agent Space right now does something really frustrating where it precedes the conversation with a priming prompt. So what it's doing right now is it's actually running the critique agent and the revisor agent on the initial prompt. So we'll get the fact that the output was valid because it was valid. But we can ask questions of this agent now, and it's not using anything within the Agent Space context. It's actually using everything inside of the agent engine deployment, which is our custom agent we deployed. So it really allows us to streamline shipping, to get this stuff in the hands of people so that we can actually iterate on this stuff really quickly. Don't forget Pete. Pete's my guy. But Agent Space does also have 2 Google-made agents that come with it. Both are in preview right now. I haven't enabled idea generation in here, but it's really cool, so I want to talk about it. Deep research, you might have heard. Basically, you give it an input, it crawls the web, summarizes content, builds a plan, and then builds a document or whatever as an output for you so you can analyze those things. Idea generation allows you to basically play off 50 generated ideas in like an ELO type ranking match, and then it summarizes why it won or why it lost against all the ELOs dictated. So in terms of creative, information, like we fight it off on like the optimizations we should make, for example, for a particular item. Do we do object-oriented for this one? Do we do data object-oriented programming for this one? Why would I not do that for this? Give me 50 ideas of how to approach this differently, for example. And it's just a really useful tool for us internally. But yeah, so that's kind of all I wanted to show you guys. And if you've got any questions, feel free. Yeah?
With the wrapping things up into Agent Builder, it supports things that aren't ADK, so you said LangChain.
Correct, yeah.
Do you know what it requires the third-party tool to do to be supported in Agent Builder?
So the ADK SDK natively handles that.
Right.
So you say, here's my folder that was a LangGraph agent, do stuff. Yeah, and it handles all that processing for you. Yeah.
How much does it cost, Agent Space?
Yeah, cool.
So it's query per second, I think.
No, so that's Agent Engine is query per second. And it has so far cost us 35 cents for the month of running our RSS summarization publishing bot that's crawling at 11 o'clock every day.
Okay.
So what are we, 20-something days into the month? It's okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think we've paid like $6 in Gemini fees and like 35 to 50 cents to run it. So it's scaled to 0, nothing's hitting it, then it doesn't matter. Yeah, but Agent Space does have a cost. It is $45 for custom agents a month per user, or $30 if you don't care about custom agents, or $8 if you just want NotebookLM. But if you look at the Google Workspaces side of things, which is where we're normally competing, Workspaces is basically charging you the same but with workspaces bolted on. So if my customers, for example, don't care about Google Workspaces, they're paying the same either way, but getting a whole custom AI solution out of it. Cool. Yeah, man.
What's the difference in scope for like something like LangChain and Vertex AI?
So it depends. If you look at the 80K is batteries included. Press a button, it goes. Then you've got LangGraph, which is go buy your batteries, but here's where you put them. And then you've got LangChain, which is build the housing. And then you've got custom, which is build the fact you need the batteries. So it depends on your use case. But I haven't yet reached for something outside of the 80K for the work that I'm doing day to day. Does that make sense?
Sort of. Like a simplified version would be what can you do with Vertex AI that you cannot do with LangChain?
LangChain is where you would source the model from, or where you host LangChain, not a competitor to LangChain. The 80K, the Google's application development kit, is not a competitor, but a batteries included version of LangChain. You can do the same thing, but you have to do less code to do the same thing. Does that make sense?
Okay, that makes sense.
Cool. No more questions?
Is there another question?
Does this support RBAC, like agent space? Because if I give some context, I don't want people to
100%. I didn't want to dive into the enterprise layers of this, but it has native OAuth pass-through for 99% of all its connectors. So me giving this to my colleagues, they'd only see their Confluence docs or Google Drive docs, for example. Some things that are index only require like service accounts, for example. Obviously, that wouldn't have any sort of OAuth pass-through or roles, but most of, yes. It's designed as an enterprise solution, so all of that stuff is mandatory, basically. Cool. Thanks for listening.